In this video, I will explain to you why intellectual property is not property. You can call it culture, a commons, heritage, but not property. So the first point is that I'm gonna talk about is property versus non-property, aka it's also called scarce goods or infinite goods. So I'm gonna start with the house example. If you build a house, that's a scarce good. That's limited. The resources used to build the house, they're limited. So that can be called property, because there's not enough resources for everyone. It's limited. And when it comes to IP, that's unlimited. If you copy something, it's like the other person still has it. So it's unlimited. There's no need for IP. Like Stephan Kinsella, I'm gonna get to that later, explains in his book. One example I can give you is Nina Paley's Copying is Not Theft. In this song, she sings, or someone else sings, copying it makes one thing more. So there's no limit. You can keep copying it. No one is gonna have scarcity or a limit of this thing. The next argument is that nothing is original. Everything is influenced by something, just like Kirby Ferguson said in Everything is a Remix. He also mentioned that people can have the same idea at the same time, kinda like I did, because before I even knew about all of those free culture activists, I thought the same thing, and I couldn't know that they thought the same thing, because I didn't even know them at that time. So, many free culture activists argue that copyright or IP, intellectual property, is nothing more than censorship and control. But then you hear people say, if there's no IP protection, then people wouldn't want to create. But I question, how would people want to create if IP hinders innovation and creativity? So that's like saying you can't express this, someone owns this, but no one can own ideas. Thoughts are not physical, so therefore it's not property. Now I'm going to give you some book examples. Some of these books I already mentioned in another video, but I can do it again. So the first book is by Lawrence Lessig. It's called Free Culture. In this book, he gives an absurd example, questioning whether you can own air if it's on someone's land. The second book, which I haven't read but I'm going to, it's by Michele Boldrin and David Levine. It's called Against Intellectual Monopoly. The last book, which I finished reading yesterday, it's called Against Intellectual Property by Stephan Kinsella. Lastly, I'm going to mention examples from Stephan Kinsella's book, Against IP. So people argue, if you're going to put labor, work into your creation, it should be your property. But Stephan Kinsella says that if labor is action, therefore action can't be owned, and your creation or your fruits, they can't be owned. Then he mentions about contracts and third parties. Third parties can have information without a contract. Then Stephan Kinsella mentions trademarks, and it's not misleading to the original, but he mentioned it being misleading to people who buy from the fake second or similar store and not from the original. It's misleading to them because you're copying the other person, but the other person still doesn't lose anything. So you're not taking away from the other person. And then he mentions about materials. Is it your property if you create with materials that aren't yours? It's still not yours, because the materials with which you created something, they're not yours. Stephan Kinsella also gave extreme examples in his book that if we patented everything, it would be a threat to humanity. He gave examples like, if we had to ask someone whether we can boil water, or, for example, if we had to ask the first person who lived in a cave or the first person who built a house, if we had to ask permission from our ancestors to build houses just because the first person ever built a house. Then Stephan Kinsella talks about what he calls artificial scarcity. IP creates artificial scarcity. So IP makes it seem like there's lack, there's limitation, there's not enough of something. So therefore IP creates problems where there are no problems. Next example he gives, if no one creates matter, matter is the law of nature, the law of physics. Therefore, there's no creation. Creation doesn't exist, because Stephan says that if you simply rearrange existing patterns, therefore you create something new, original. That's what creation is. It's not new, original. It's just rearranging existing patterns. Thank you for watching this video. That's all. Bye.